Who is coming after alcohol? That who, as in the World Health Organization. Too many wine club memberships? Well, if you live in California, it just got easier to cancel them. And Sangiovese, it's not just for breakfast anymore. All that and more on this week's episode, This Week Uncorked. Well, hello and welcome to episode 52 of This Week Uncorked for Monday, July 14th, 2025. I'm Brett Martin from Cork and Journey. If you don't know, Cork and Journey is your number one source for corkage fees, wine reviews, winery reviews, restaurant reviews, and more. So check it out. And we have got a lot of news to cover on this week's show. So with that, let's get right on into the news. All right, we're going to start with an article for the drinks business by Mike Copen-Gardner, and warns that the World Health Organization is repurposing its proven tobacco playbook to regulate alcohol, escalating from blanket health warnings to outright advertising bans and kind of punitive taxation. He argues basically that the no safe level stance marks the beginning of the complete coordinated attack that is going to occur on the entire alcohol industry. And he doesn't think it's going to be good at all. From the article, the WHO carcinogen classification creates massive litigation risks. Companies will face mounting legal costs, defending against class action lawsuits, potentially reaching the billions seen in tobacco settlements. Legal reserves and insurance costs will drain resources for productive businesses, activities, and further accelerate industry consolidation. Unlike tobacco, however, the drinks industry has powerful counter-arguments. Consumer behavior is already shifting organically toward moderation, innovation, and low and no alcohol products, which I haven't seen because I still think they're garbage, is creating precisely these outcomes that health authorities want. Most critically, moderate alcohol consumption remains a legitimate consumer choice, supported by decades of research showing negligible individual risks, if any risks at all, perhaps increased lifespan. We've gone over and over this all the time. Anyway, the first kind of I've heard about this, like, well, if they lump it into that category, then the lawsuits and the damages that could potentially occur to the overall alcohol industry, the wine industry just being a small subsection of that, could be bad. And so we will see. And with that, let's get on to our next news story. All right, scvnews.com. Yes, I dig deep to find the news for you. Talks about Assemblywoman Pat Scavaro's new click-to-cancel law that took effect in California. This means basically if you have a subscription, you basically can go online and sign up for anything. You now can go ahead and log on to that same website and easily cancel it without having to talk to anybody. You say, Brett, what does this have to do with wine? Well, I kind of gave a hint at the top of the show, but what it has to do with wine is, from the article, Click to Cancel will ensure consumers can quickly and easily cancel services they don't want or need. From gym memberships to software subscriptions to wine clubs. There it is. Consumers now have more control over their automatic subscriptions. You shouldn't have to endure endless stalling tactics to keep your money in your pocket where it belongs, says Robert Harrell, Executive Director of the Consumer Federation of California. Well, there you have it. Honestly, I love it. Not for the wine club part, but I think all of us have gone through that where you just trying to cancel something that you signed up for. And no, you can't do it online. And, you got to go on chat. Oh, then you got to get on a phone call and they won't let you off the hook. Same thing that used to happen with the cable companies. For those of us old enough to remember the cable days, that was a complete disaster as well. So, you know what? I'm not really big on constant legislation and all those kind of things, but man, this is one that, bravo, good law, makes a lot of sense. And with that, we'll move on to our next story, which is from Wine Enthusiast, which is 10 bucket list chef's tables for wine lovers. I'm just kind of throwing this one in here. Basically, Neil Bernstein rounds up the top 10 chef's tables across the entire United States. If you don't know, chef's tables are small, intimate events. Usually they run from 8 to 12 people, and you're all sitting around one table, usually one chef or with some sous chefs, and they're serving you dishes, and usually there's wine pairings, and it can be 6 courses to 20 courses. It goes on and on. A million different possibilities here, but they're really kind of cool. They're very, very nice. And I was happy to see one of our favorite restaurants, Campo Los Poblanos, which is in Albuquerque, New Mexico. They came in at number 3. They had some nice things to say about them. At this historic inn and farm, the 4-seat counter allows for deeper understanding of the dishes from local indigenous ingredients like pork confit with blue corn hominy, rosales green chili, Sonora wheat tortillas with pumpkin seeds. Wine pairing is a no-brainer, but explore the list as well for about 20 wines available as 3-ounce pours and nearly 24 wines from New Mexico, a once burgeoning region that is expanding anew. We've done a whole thing on New Mexico. I think we spent like 3 or 4 weeks there, kind of hitting all the wineries, doing a bunch of stuff. Anyway, worth taking a look at Los Poblanos if you happen to be there. And then Slate has an article that examines the escalating West Coast fires. Particularly, they're focusing on Oregon here and how smoke taint is affecting Oregon. I will tell you that smoke taint affects pretty much the whole West Coast, California, Washington. Forest fires are forest fires. The smoke settles in over the vineyards. This causes taint. Basically, the grapes taste really smoky. So when you ferment them, you end up with a kind of a brisket kind of a taste or a mescal kind of a taste. Most winemakers, that's it. They don't even make the wine. They let the grapes just fall, and it's a complete waste of an entire harvest across the board. But this article kind of explores that, maybe there's a shift in this and a shift in what people are thinking and what they're going to do. And maybe we'll just go ahead and make the wine out of those smoky grapes. From the article, with the rise of smoky mezcal and natural wine, appetites for unconventional flavors in and out of the world for wine lovers are higher than ever. While smoke-impacted wine is traditionally seen as a sin of conventional winemaking, new research from Oregon State University in New Zealand, published this February, indicates that the drinking public may be more adventurous. They found that consumers, particularly those who already like smoky flavors in their food, actually enjoyed smoke-impacted wines. I will tell you, I have had one smoke-impacted wine, Sal Romby at Romby Vineyards, a small little producer up in Carmel Valley. What am I going to do? I got to make a wine this year. This is all I do. And he did. And he made a Cabernet Sauvignon that was heavily smoke tainted. And it was not something that I would want to pair with food, but it did pair very well with a cigar. So instead of kind of having a scotch with that little peaty taste, I cracked that bottle of wine with a buddy of mine. We shared it with cigar. We both agreed it worked. We gave it 87 points. So, not the end of the world when it comes to smoke taint and smoke impacted wines. And we're going to wrap up the news with San Francisco Chronicle. Senior wine critic Esther Mobley is reporting on the revival of the Sangiovese grape. Once written off in the 80s and 90s due to unsuitable vineyard practices, she's basically saying, hey, there's a new wave of winemakers that are embracing Sangiovese and rediscovering its versatility. And look, it's a great grape. Right now, I'm somewhere in the middle of the Mediterranean Sea after just spending a month in Italy. And I will tell you, we had some absolutely amazing wines in Italy. We actually found some amazing wines in Crete. Wait till you see that review. Sangiovese is a great grape. I mean, whether it's in, your super Tuscans, whether it's in your Chianti Classico, I mean, man, it's an amazing, amazing grape. I think people in Paso particularly have been doing some great things with Sangiovese for quite a while, Paso Robles, California. But from the article here, as part of the poorly executed Cal-Italian movement of the 80s and 90s, I missed that, Sangiovese produced a series of uninspiring, overblown wines that then convinced a generation of wine growers it wasn't suited for California soil. But now, a Sangiovese movement is afoot, and it looks like nothing like that Cal-Ital crusade of a previous era. Cal-Ital. Like that. Anyway, here's to Sangiovese. Absolutely beautiful grape. And here's to the winemakers in California and on the West Coast and anywhere who can do something amazing with it. And with that, let's get on to our wine and winery of the week. All right, we're going to do a pair here. So Irvine Roberts Vineyards in Ashland, Oregon. So basically, if you're driving up out of California, you cross the border, you're in Ashland. Interesting wine region. I like what they're doing up there. Irvine Roberts really, really focused on Pinot Noir and Chardonnay. Just a lovely tasting room, nice indoor setting, beautiful outdoor setting overlooking the vineyards. If you are up there, they are worth checking out. There are several others too. If you go over to Corkage Journey to Ashland, Oregon, we kind of have that whole area covered for you. If you're heading up there, you can kind of see what we recommend. But anyway, I would highly recommend it. And the wine we're going to talk about this week is their 2019 Irvine Roberts Vineyards Wädenswil Block Rogue Valley Pinot Noir. We rated 92 points, $65 a barrel. They're doing really, really nice stuff with it. It's a good little wine. It's not flashy, but man, it's like one of those, it just screams Pinot, if you know what I mean. And I know you know what I mean. So check it out. With that, let's move on to our restaurant and Corkage of the Week. All right, we're going to head to Las Vegas, and it's Sgrizzi Ristorante by Chef Marc. It's off-strip, technically Las Vegas. It's kind of just up from Southern Highlands, if you know where you are in that whole Las Vegas area of the world. Anyway, an Italian restaurant. He will come. A lot of tableside preparation done specifically by Chef Marc. Sgrizzi's interesting. His name was Marc Ritz, R-I-T-Z. He went back to Italy, found his family, found out that when they came over on the boat, they changed it to Ritz from Sgrizzi. Anyway, Sgrizzi, but absolutely real deal Italian. So if you're in Vegas, you're like, man, I want great Italian and I want to leave the strip. Well, you can go to Sgrizzi Ristorante. Beautiful, beautiful. Nice little cigar bar next to it, Anyway, check it out. Sgrizzi Ristorante by Chef Marc, Las Vegas, Nevada. Hey, and the corkage fee, $35 per bottle, no limit. They've got a decent wine list, but at $35, you might want to bring your own in. And do it that way. We've talked about that a million times. You know what I'm talking about. Anyway, I want to say cheers. Cheers. 1 year, 52 weeks. I want to thank everybody for supporting us, subscribing, and here's to a great another year of this. And we'll see you next week. Cheers, everyone.